everybody, and welcome back to the channel. The format this week is going to be a little bit different. In this video, we're going to cover the prep work that we did for the TNKATT tournament that took place on Fort Loudoun on May 13th. We spent the 2 weeks prior to the tournament fishing a lot of different locations, scouting, trying to find patterns and what kind of lures were working to find the best quantity and quality of fish. So I hope you enjoy this format, looking and seeing how our various strategies worked out and what our thoughts were going into this tournament. So without further ado, here's the video. I hope you enjoy it. All right, everybody, we've launched on Stock Creek today, getting prepped for the TNKATT tournament that's happening a couple of weeks on Fort Loudoun. It's the May tournament. We just got here and we've noticed there is a lot of shad activity here in this cove. So we're going to see if maybe that's what they're going to be hitting is shad patterns. So we're going to be throwing crankbaits. I'm throwing crankbait in the sexy shad pattern. Then I've also got a Ned rig in the deal color, which is a shad pattern. I'm going to be throwing that on my Kistler helium finesse rig. So we're going to see what damage we can do and do some pre-fishing for a tournament. There's one.
On the spinner bait. He's not a beast. He'd probably be scoreable though. I think he's at least 12 inches. Ooh, buddy, just barely had him hooked. Anyway.
There's a large. That's a freaking crappie. That's a huge crappie. I want to check something right quick. Crappie is number 10 and it's 14 inches. He could very well be a 14-inch crappie. So we're going to measure him just in case, because 14 inches is tarp sized. Yeah, he's not going to be quite 14. 12 and a half inch crappie. That's a big old crappie. So there we go. Nice size little crappie. We're gonna put it back though. There's a fish. That's a largemouth. Oh, I lost him. Shoot. That was a largemouth on the crank though. So, crank and spinnerbait seem to be catching them. Oh, that is a fish. What is that? Oh, it's a largemouth. Barely hooked on there a bit. Got to get him in the net quickly. There we go. There's a largie. Pretty good size one too. There we go. Get a measurement on him. Probably the biggest largemouth I've caught this year. Haven't fished a lot for him this year. So he comes out to 15 and a half. 15-inch largemouth. Pretty good looking guy. Let's throw him back in the water. Whoa, there he goes. Oh, that was another one on the crank. Was a littler guy, but he got it nonetheless. All right, we are back out on Loudoun, getting prepped for the TNKATT tournament that's going to be happening on Fort Loudoun next week. Exactly a week from today. We've already pre-fished Stock Creek just to see what they're biting, and now we're going to launch here at the silo. Obviously, there's Mr. Silo, and we're going to see what we can get out here. I'm just trying to find a good location on Loudoun to fish this tournament at. The benefit of launching here at Loudoun is there's a couple of other spots that are within about a 15-20 minute drive that we know we can catch fish on. So if we end up doing really good here today but not Next week, we can always move to something like Ish Creek or even Poland Creek, because we've had decent luck there. A lot more at Ish. But we're going to see if we can't figure out what they're doing over here. See if this can't be a good spot to launch during the tournament. Oh, there's a fish. Oh, that's a nice little largemouth, it looks like. Or it might have been a smallie. What is that? Oh, I don't think that's a bass. What is it? Oh, it's a smallmouth. I just can't not catch smallmouth, apparently. So there we go on the crank. Sitting right around the silo. Just pulled it right around the corner there. So he's not a monster. Definitely a scoreable fish. Oh, slimy boy. So he is 14 and a quarter is what he'd come out to. He's a pretty thick fish. He's not super skinny, but still, nice little smallie. Hanging out around here by the silo. I'm gonna drop him back in the water.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and change it up. Something slightly deeper diving. All right, this guy's definitely a much deeper diver. Yeah. Oh, there we go. That's all it took. Finally, fish number one out on the hump on the deep diving crankbait, or what I'd call deep diving. That might be a medium diver for some. He ain't a hoss, but we'll take him. Go.
Oh wow, that was not good. That's not where that needed to go. That was too good of a cast. I think he got it. He got it. Holy crap, that was sick. Oh, that's why you let it drop if they miss it. That's why you let it drop. So we're looking at another 14 and a quarter inch large. This time it's a largemouth though. That's a keeper. He's a little skinny guy, but still, he was right underneath that boat dock. I tossed it in there between two, right there. You can sort of see that little springy looking thing. I got it right back in there. Honestly, I wasn't aiming for that. It just kind of skipped back there and I didn't want to let it drop. So I brought it back in and he went after it right at the top. And then I let it drop and he still managed to grab it. So that was pretty fun.
There's a striped bass. All right, away you go. Well, maybe that's what we're seeing stacked up out here. It's just full striped bass and shad, I don't know. There we go. Oh, doggone it. Oh, crap.
That's a white bass. Crap. On that big old deep diving crank. Is it a white bass? No, that's a hybrid. More than one stripe goes back to the back of the tail. But good grief, he's got eyes bigger than his stomach. There he goes. White bass on the on my big old deep diving crankbait.
All right, out doing a little more pre-fishing for the upcoming May tournament on Fort Loudoun. We put in the Concord area. Wind's pretty mild. It's a little higher than I thought it would be, but it's pretty mild. A little bit of chop on the water. more of a concern is I've already seen 2 or 3 wake boats go by. And so if you've ever had one of those go by in a kayak, you know what joy they bring to your life. But we're going to get out here, see if we can get on to something, find some kind of a pattern, something that'll help us with this tournament coming up. So far we've not really been able to lock on to any one particular thing, so hopefully today will change that and we can get going something. There we go. Fish number 1. That's a scoreable for sure. Back he goes. There we go. Number 3. There we go. Another little guy. Looks like we're getting on a pattern. There we go. Oh, yeah. That's more like it right there. Holy smokes. What have I got? Is this a bass? I don't think this is a bass. I think a catfish. Look at that. Seriously? Oh, buddy, you are ugly. Just thought I'd let you know. There we go. How about that? On the crankbait. Thanks again for the wake. Love you guys. Wait, ooh, thanks. Phew. All right, folks, one more day of pre-fishing before the May tournament. It's Thursday. Technically, you can pre-fish tomorrow, but only up until like 6 o'clock. And sadly, I have to work. It's, I know, it's horrible, the things we have to do to feed our fishing habit. But trying one more spot out here on Loudoun, seeing if we can't really find the fish. Did okay yesterday out in the Concord area, but did okay with numbers. Size wise, they were scoreable, but they ain't gonna get me in the top 3, that's for sure. So anyway, we're gonna try out one more spot, see what we can find out here, hoping we can get the numbers and the size that we need. So thank you for coming along. Hope you enjoy it. Well, there's fish number one. I don't think he's going to help us on the scoreboard. Today was tournament day, but there we go. Okay, so there he is. He's a monster, folks. There we go. Oh, no. All right, I made a cast before I turned the thing back on, but surprisingly, the pink Ned rig got us another fish. Not scoreable, not as big as the one I lost, but it's fish. Yeah, let's go ahead and swap it out. We'll go for something. Looks a little more like the shad they're running back in here. There's what I'm looking for. Yeah, good old Mr. The Deal. Ah. Good grief. Look, look at the, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it or not, but look at the belly on this little bitty bass. I mean, it is just bulged out. He has been gorging himself. You're not going to help me in the tournament either. There we go. There we go. That's a little better. You ain't a monster. But you'd at least get me on the scoreboard. There we go. That's a little better. Well, missed two really nice jumps with that one. But my GoPro's overheating, so sorry about that, folks. At least I got the fish. Man, he's beat up. Wow. So, span. Bit buckle. All right, back you go. GoPro capture. GoPro capture. Well, you ain't much bigger than the lure.
All right, so after all that scouting and working, we ultimately decided that the best location for us to launch was going to be Ish Creek, simply because none of the locations particularly stuck out. My dad caught the most total fish at Ish Creek. The next one was the silo, but we've historically caught better quality fish at Ish Creek whenever we fished on Fort Loudoun. So we decided to go there, and we decided that earlier in the morning we were going to be fishing topwater. I prefer the whopper plopper. My dad was fishing a spook. And we also got some intel from a couple that were fishing for crappie. They'd been fishing little 3.5 inch Kitech swim baits, and we're catching a lot of decent sized largemouth that were beating the crappie to the lure. So we decided to go and pick some of those up in sort of a sexy shad pattern and see how that worked out. We also decided that later in the day we were going to start fishing some points and some underwater humps that were in 10 to 15 feet of water and fish some boat docks. And the Ned rig we decided to go with was the Deal because it ultimately got the most bites out of any other colors we used. Black and blue worked pretty well, but the Deal seemed to match more what the bass were going after. We also chose Ish Creek because there is a lot of diversity in the structure there. We have a lot of deeper water points. We've got a ton of rocks that are just sitting right below the surface of the water. A lot of shallow flats that we wanted to start out early in the morning. And on the far side of the creek, we've got a lot of boathouses in deeper water that they might go and hide once the sun came up and it was the heat of the day. So join us next week when we show you how well we fared in the tournament. It was a lot of fun, and we hope you enjoy it, and we will see you in the next one.